Hey guys, Jay here. So I'm going to give you a little update about my environment. So I hope you guys have been working on your 3D environment as well. And I'm going to show you my simple level with simple, jumping mechanics and shooting mechanics and basically a puzzle setup as well. So all of these combined together, this is my level, and I'm going to walk you through it. And in the next lesson, we'll be basically setting up our first puzzle and sort of creating the mechanics together. So let me just walk through my environment. So as you guys can see, I've replaced the rest of the environment with a nice forest background, forest backdrop, and this is where we start off from. And I've added more grass and more trees and things like that. So I've carved out a nice area in the forest where this adventure takes place. And obviously, this is where the enemy is. And then I've got this sort of jumping course over here where it's this massive fall, and if you fall there, you basically die. We haven't set that up yet, and basically they just have to jump over these and use their newly learned jumping mechanic here. And pretty much when you get over here, you got another enemy who's gonna go through the same patrol points that we created earlier, but set up in different locations. So I've pretty much used my prefabs that we built earlier together, guys, to create different areas. So essentially, we are reusing the mechanics. That's basically how most game development takes place. You create one template and then apply it in different places. And then basically, the player goes through this area to land on this little temple opening. So there's some temple ruins and things like that going on over here with a bunch of enemies just going through different patrol points. So there's going to be a little combat sequence here where the enemy will be confronted with a lot of enemies fighting at the same time. So you'll have to use dodging and sort of, not the dodging, the rolling, the jumping, and basically running around the place to fight these guys, right? After the player gets through this area, they essentially go through this little opening to walk through all of this, to land on this little opening here. Basically, this is our final puzzle, the one and only puzzle, actually. So there's a little puzzle involved here where the player has to mix and match some of these crystals to three different basins over here, right? So there's three symbols that are placed: a tree, a fire symbol, and a water symbol. So essentially, they have to pick the right crystals here and place them in the right basin to basically spawn the jewel that we are after, the treasure that we are after. So I thought of spawning like a little necklace over here, so which I've actually set up. Let me just show it to you. So this is the necklace that gets spawned as soon as you complete this puzzle correctly. So basically, in the next chapter, guys, we'll be building this puzzle together. We'll be building a mechanic where the player can go to one of those crystals and pick up one crystal and then basically place it in the right basin. So how does the player know which basin to place these crystals into? There are three types of crystals. Essentially, the idea is that the player would see this little skeleton over here, which basically indicates that another adventurer has come to this area before and tried to solve this puzzle, and something happened to them and died there. And then there's also the little book here next to the skeleton. Once you pick that up, guys, what we're going to essentially show is this little riddle that's part of the book. So we're going to display this on screen. Basically, it has a little riddle that they have to solve in their heads to figure out which basin the correct crystal goes into. So the first one says, where warriors rest and fires roar, place me there to open the door, right? So there's something that I came up with along with the help of ChatGPT. If you guys are familiar, that's the AI that's been taking over the world. So people have been talking to this AI to get a lot of ideas from. So I asked ChatGPT to basically come up with three riddles that indicate three crystals that should go into three different basins based on their color. So the first riddle says, where warriors rest and fires roar, place me there to open the door. It's talking about fire, right? So fire indicates red. So essentially what that means is the player has to take the red crystal and place it in the basin that has the symbol fire. Build riddle, very basic puzzle, but this sort of puzzle, you can take it really far. You can make it a bit more complicated and take it different places and make it pretty hard for the player, right? But this is a good start for a simple puzzle that we're going to work together. And in the second riddle, it says, in the cradle of leaves where life is seen, my green will match where I should be keen. So this is what ChatGPT came up with, guys. I didn't really write this myself, but I definitely gave it instructions. So what that means is the color green should give you a little hint that it's the green crystal, and it's talking about leaves and where life begins and that sort of thing. So basically, it's talking about a tree, guys. So you got to place the crystal over here. And the third and final riddle says, where waters kiss the board's stern, my blue should go for fortunes to turn. So we're talking about a blue color over here, and we are also talking about water. So basically, we're talking about this basin over here. So if these crystals are placed in the correct basins, basically, it's going to show the jewel at the end, and basically that's the end of this objective and the end of this game. Essentially, it's just part of a game. It's a vertical slice of a bigger game, I guess. But this is a puzzle that we'll be building together, guys. So with this, guys, essentially the map looks like this if I were to zoom out a bit. So this is the course that they'll be taking pretty much from start to finish. So like I mentioned, it's a little U shape that I wanted to go for. And there's a lot of rocks that have been placed. So I'm gonna play this for a bit and show you guys what it looks like. I'm gonna hide this riddle. And let me just try that again, going maximize screen as well. As you guys may hear, I've also added music to it and some more sound effects as well. Right? If I can pick up these ammo, basically get to this level, and then yep, basically killing an enemy also now spawns some health packs for us and some ammo, and you can basically now traverse this area, and it's a bit hard here, so I might actually improve the collisions over there. And essentially what that crash course should do is basically take the player from that area to the other side. Right now I've got to improve this area because, as you can see, that was a bit difficult to climb this area, so I'm going to add some colliders to it so you can easily land on it and then get to the other side. So I just wanted to give you guys a little overview of the progress of the game. So feel free to create a little environment like this, guys, and make sure that it's kind of believable, like this environment. The placement of things, placement of rocks, they should kind of make sense why it's like that. And these openings as well, make them little pockets in your massive forest, right? It's really nice to explore little areas like this. And when you come into a landing like this, it should feel very grand. And that's why I added this statue as well, so to indicate that there's an ancient mystery over here, that sort of thing, right? So what we're going to do next as well is to add some music changes. So when you come into this area, when you go through a certain trigger, we're going to change the music to make it sound very mystical. Same thing can be applied over here. When you come to the grand battle, we're going to change it into a combat music. So you obviously ramp up that action. So that being said, guys, in the next video, what we'll be doing is setting up some lighting. So we're gonna make this game look really nice. In the next 3 chapters, we'll be essentially working on the lighting. I've got a list here. And then the second thing we'll be doing is adding fog that really softens this game. It looks very harsh right now, very sharp. We can reduce it a bit. We're gonna make it a bit more softer and very polished. And the third thing we're gonna do is post-processing. And these 3 things, guys, will make your game look really amazing. So with those 3 things done, in the next chapter, we'll be working on the objectives, working on the puzzle, and basically finishing up the game. That being said, guys, feel free to build your own environment similar to this, and I'll see you guys in the next one.